last 7 years, you've watched John get 3 new big tanks from Custom Aquariums. It all started in 2016 with his 240-gallon Peacock and half tank. Then in 2019, he got a 360-gallon for his Oscars and his bikers. And then in late 2020, he got his 240-gallon yellow lab tank. 3 huge tanks, all for him, none for me, just him. Well, that's all changing now. When Custom Aquariums reached out to us and said, "Hey, are you ready for your next tank?" I said, "Heck yeah, and this one's gonna be for me." We started talking to him about this back in late 2021, but didn't want to do anything till we moved. We already had all of John's big tanks plus all of mine, including the 2 125s. So getting another big tank and having to move that from Virginia to North Carolina just didn't make sense. So I waited, and I waited. Well, we moved into our place back in May of last year, and to be honest, it took us a while to settle in. We weren't just moving ourselves, we were moving our aquariums, our business, our stuff along with our kids' stuff, and all the other animals we have. And yeah, that was an experience. It was a grueling process, and it took us a while to catch our breath. Once we did, we started talking to him again and making the final decisions on what I wanted. I had a plan and knew exactly what I wanted, but just before we gave the go-ahead to have it built, John said, wait a second, and he ran down to the fish house. He came back and had a frustrated look on his face, and I said, "What is it?" And he said, "Well, the tank you want won't fit into the building." I wanted a 5 foot by 5 foot by 4 foot cube. I've seen something like that before and was totally amazed by it. And once I have something like that in my head, there's really no changing it. You can ask John. But we wouldn't have any way to get a tank that size into the building, and taking down walls just to get it in, it wasn't an option. So we made some adjustments, and then made some more adjustments, and then more. To make a long story short, we finally figured out what'll work, and we put in the order. That's the great thing about working with Custom Aquariums. They work with you and make sure you've thought of everything before they get any money from you. And yes, we did pay for this. This wasn't a freebie. So with the tank ordered, we had some things that had to be done before it got here. You may remember a while back, John built a new rack for my 125-gallon fish tanks and 2 75 gallons. You know, the one he hasn't finished yet? Well, he did that to clear out the space in the back of the fish house for this new tank to go. After getting that area cleaned out, we had another issue to deal with, and that's how to get a tank this size into the fish house. This thing weighs about 450 pounds, I'm guessing. So there's no way John and I could handle it ourselves, and we live in a new place out in the middle of nowhere and don't know anyone but our neighbors. And they're great neighbors, but I don't think they can help us move this tank. This tank was being shipped soon, and we had no idea what we were gonna do. Well, this is where our friend Mark from Aquariums Unlimited came in. He volunteered to come out here and help us, but there was one problem. We had to delay the shipment by about 2 weeks. Fortunately, John and I have gotten really good about being patient and waiting for things, so it really wasn't a big deal. Plus, waiting the extra time would also mean he'd be able to bring his 2 friends from the shop, Greg and Doug. So we fast forward to the day of delivery. Mark, Doug, and Greg showed up and toured the fish house, and after a couple hours, the truck showed up. I can't even express how excited I was. I've gone through this 3 times with John, and it's always really exciting, but I've never been waiting for a truck that has my tank in it. This was something I had looked forward to for over a year, and it was finally happening. I mean, at this point, I think it was closer to 2 years. One of the things about our property that's kind of a pain in the butt is the fact that huge trucks aren't able to pull into our driveway. So anytime we have a big delivery like this, John has to hook up the trailer and go out to the street to get the shipment. It's not a big deal because he just backs the trailer up to the truck and they roll the pallet right on it. John's done this a million times and it's never a problem. But, of course, the day I'm receiving my tank, this happens.
Whoa!
In all of the excitement of the tank showing up, John forgot to latch the trailer onto the hitch. I swear it's always something with that guy, but I can tell you this. There's no way he'll ever make that mistake again, because when that trailer tipped up, it banged up against his tailgate and put a nasty gouge in it. I'm not going to give him a hard time about it because he's still pretty upset, and it's not something that he can use a Sharpie on. Like I said, this is the 4th shipment we've received from Custom Aquariums, and I got to tell you, when they ship these tanks, they build a crate around them that I swear you could park a truck on. It's like they build a house around them, and that's good because they're shipping a glass box across the country. You don't want anything happening to that thing. Now, you might be wondering the same thing I was wondering when I saw this on John's trailer. Why is there 2 huge crates? Well, that's something I can't wait to tell you about, but I'll tell you, it's another surprise for me in the 2nd crate. It turns out there was another reason Mark came down, and that was to give me the gift that's in the 2nd crate. And that is another reason why it was delayed 2 weeks. He got me a gift that I can't wait to show you, and all I'll say is this. It's not just for me. It's for me and 2 others, and it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I don't want to spoil it. Just subscribe, turn on notifications so that when the video goes up next week, you'll see it. It's incredible, and trust me, you are going to want to see it. Okay, back to the tank. Like I said, I originally wanted to go with a 5x5x4 tank, but there was no way we were getting that into the building. So we went down to a 4-foot by 4-foot by 30-inch cube, and I gotta say, this thing is way bigger than I expected. I almost think 5x5 would have been too big. This is a perfect size for the vision I have in my head. Now with a 4x4 tank, of course, that means there's also a 4x4 stand. And to get both of these into the fish house, John and the guys had to do something that was pretty scary. Both of them had to be turned up onto their sides in order to fit through the door. This wasn't a huge deal with the stand because that's pretty light, but with the tank, it was terrifying. One wrong move and it's all over. Trust me, John and I have been at someone's house moving an aquarium that fell and busted into a zillion million pieces. It's not a pretty sight. But fortunately, the 4 of them were able to handle it pretty well. I mean, look at Greg. He not only looks like a thinner version of the Big Show, but he's just about as strong. They turned it up on its side, got it through the door, and baby stepped it into place. If you look at him, it looks like John was the only one that was kind of struggling. Once it was at the back of the fish house, they carefully tipped it back down and muscled it up onto the stand. This was the time where we could all breathe a huge sigh of relief. The tank was finally here, and it was in one piece. Good job, boys. Good job to me, too, for using the camera. So this is a 100% custom tank built specifically for me, exactly the way I wanted it. It's on a gorgeous black stand with soft closed doors and a super smooth black paint job. But we didn't just get the tank. We also ordered the seamless sump from Custom Aquariums. We have seamless sumps on all 3 of the big tanks, and John swears by them, so it was a no-brainer to get it on this one too. He's going to be doing a video specifically about the filtration, how it all works and installs onto the tank, so be looking for that in the near future too. Now, you're probably wondering what my plan is for this tank. Well, I'm not going to tell you yet, but I'll tell you this. My original idea was to do this tank for discus, but a couple months ago I said, you know what, I want to do something different. I pitched the idea to John and he was like, are you kidding me? that'll be the coolest tank ever. So we're pretty excited about it. I have a very specific vision in my head of a hardscape, both inside and outside of this tank. And with the fish I'm planning on putting in, I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. As we move forward with this project, you can expect videos about the filtration, lighting, hardscape, and yes, the fish. So make sure you have notifications on because you're not going to want to miss it. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me, and a big thank you to Custom Aquariums for making all this happen. If you're interested in getting a custom aquarium of your own, there will be links in the description as well as the pinned comment down below. Trust me, you're gonna learn a whole lot more about this company as we go on. Also, a big thank you to Mark from Aquariums Unlimited in Virginia Beach. If you live in the Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, or Hampton Roads area of Virginia, do yourself a favor and stop by. We've said it a million times, and we'll keep saying it. Aquariums Unlimited is the best fish store on the planet, period. And I can't end this without thanking Greg and Doug. Without those guys, there's no way we would have gotten this monster in here. They both have really cool stuff on Instagram, and we'll put links to them in the description too. Check them out. Thanks again for watching, and I can't wait to show you the next phase of this project. It's going to be amazing.